Floyd! Floyd! I'll knock you out! He's sick, look at him.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news. Ow!
Okay, we'll start with this. A new entry into the dumb and delusional archives. A Twitter user that goes by the name Ghetto Lock.
Locked in daily.
I don't care what y'all say. This shit is supposed to go down on American soil.
What is?
The rematch between Ryan and Devin, what could be the trilogy. American mega fights being held in Saudi Arabia at 4 p.m. on a Saturday is not a good thing for the sport of boxing at all.
What's the alternative?
The fight not happening at all. The fight not happening anywhere. Not in Saudi, not in America, because that's where things were going. Oscar de la Hoya more than once said he saw no need for a rematch between Devin and Ryan, and between Devin and Ryan and their egos, the only thing bigger than that is Turkey's checkbook.
That's how we're here. Why we're here.
What a dumb and delusional idiot like Ghetto Lock, and Ghetto is right, doesn't seem to understand is Turkey is making fights happen that would not otherwise happen, like Fury versus Usyk, like Better Beef versus Bivol, fighters circling each other for years, and no fight between them in sight until Turki Alalshikh came into it and got involved. And the exact same thing applies to the rematch between Devin and Ryan. What I'm left wondering is, what the hell does a Ghetto Lock care about where that fight happens? Were you gonna go?
You're so against fights being outsourced to a different part of the world as if you were gonna go to them. You and I both know you weren't.
Because you're poor.
So what difference does it make to a social dredge like yourself where a fight happens that you weren't going to attend anyway? I'd say you can buy the pay-per-view, but can you?
Think about what you're saying, you idiot.
Moron!
The rematch between Devin and Ryan wasn't about to happen, because Devin has all of his hang-ups, and Ryan has all of his. The only one with enough power, influence, and money to make it happen is Turkey. You should be thanking him. You think he took something away from the American boxing scene, but you can't lose what you never had. And the cash injections that he is making into the sport with some regularity now compensates for the cash injections the networks aren't making. What used to be Showtime's investment or Fox's investment.
And HBO before them.
The major networks, one by one, have walked away from the sport of boxing, and there are many contributing factors, but the gist of it is they're not pouring money into boxing anymore. So where is that money supposed to come from, since you're so concerned with the health and well-being of boxing?
You know what's not good for the health of boxing? Stealing shit!
So I saw a story about a Safeway, essentially a supermarket, leaving the Oakland area. And they didn't want to say it outright, but the reason they're leaving is because of shoplifting, because of theft. For all of the shrinkage and products that are not being bought so much as being stolen, it just doesn't make sense for that Safeway to keep their doors open, and now they're not. As a result of that, the surrounding community is complaining.
They're protesting as if you can force Safeway to stay open.
Stupid as that sounds, that's what you can say about this Ghetto Lock guy. You're complaining about a problem that you created.
And everybody like you.
What do you think happens when enough people steal enough fights? What effect do you think that has?
Same effect all those shoplifters had on that Safeway in Oakland.
Oh, they're just supposed to keep putting products out for you to steal them? Because we all know that's what you're doing.
I don't care if that sounds offensive. You and I both know you don't pay for shit.
Making it even more bizarre that you're complaining about a fight you weren't going to attend and you were likely going to steal by way of an illegal stream anyway, then what goddamn difference does it make to you where the fight ends up?
You bum.
You're a goddamn bum. You and everybody like you. And it's for this reason that the American boxing scene doesn't represent what it used to, because the money just isn't there. There's too many bums like you stealing shit.
You say that you don't care what anyone else says. This fight is supposed to go down in American soil.
The reality is the world. The entire world doesn't care what you say or what you think, because you don't have the buying power to be of any influence.
Or any use.
You don't represent anything. You're just a parasite, and I know. You can hardly offend a cockroach by calling him a cockroach.
He can't help but be what he is.
So who says that this video is for him and my aspirations to get through to him? You can't fix stupid. I know that.
I'm not trying to get through to him. guy's hopeless.
And he's not the only one. No, this video segment is for those who actually contribute to this boxing society that we are a part of. Not him and not them.
Not you!
Just us, watching you flop around like a fish, angry that this fight might get outsourced to Saudi.
I say that it might because there is a chance that it might not. If you could read above the 9th grade level, you would have known that there's a chance this fight does happen in America, though the same applies. What difference does it make to you? Your broke ass isn't gonna go.
I read a boxing scene article that seems to suggest they have a tentative idea to maybe do the fight in Times Square.
And we'll see if they do, but it's of no significance to you because your broke ass isn't gonna go. You're poor.
Shut up.
You don't matter. What you say, what you think, and how you feel, it doesn't matter. None of it matters because you don't contribute anything to this boxing society. So you can keep complaining on your little social media account and see who gives a damn.
Gives a shit.
You're broke.
Those who contribute the least within this boxing sphere seem to have the most to say about Turkey and what he's doing, when he's actually making fights more affordable for poor people like you.
You Phil!
You're too stupid to see that, while simultaneously making the fight more affordable so that more people can buy it. That's good for boxing, you idiot. You know, I really shouldn't even take the time out of my day to address the inane stupidity of your perspective, because your perspective doesn't matter.
Look at the shoplifter trying to give a product review. Are you serious?
Probably are, because you're so greatly lacking situational awareness. You don't know. You really don't know how stupid you look and sound. But keep going. We need some entertainment while we wait for the big fights to get here.
Ones that you won't attend, the pay-per-views you won't buy, the ones you'll illegally stream, whilst harping about the health and well-being of boxing.
If you have some kind of aversion to fights being outsourced to Saudi or paid for by Saudi, that's a problem that you created. Because maybe if you weren't stealing them, you and so many others like you, the market would be a lot healthier. What's the expectation? What is it? That they're supposed to keep putting out product for you to steal it?
Why don't you go fly a kite?
Take a hike. Because the boxing world doesn't need you. The entire world doesn't need you. More on this as Haymon faces ruination as Turki Alalshikh undercuts pay-per-view prices.
Told you.
Haymon faces problems this year as Saudi Arabian chairman Turki Alalshikh continually undercuts his pay-per-view prices. Haymon, the head of the PBC, has always championed the usual premium live event prices, evident since the dawn of the Mike Tyson era. The cost of pay-per-views stayed rigid between the 1990s and the 2000s until Floyd Mayweather upped the pricing alongside Haymon 10 years ago. Mayweather asked for almost $100 for his bouts against Manny Pacquiao and Conor McGregor, which pushed the usual price of pay-per-view events to a new normal of around $80. However, Alalshikh is not having it. Since entering the sport in 2023, the cost of fight fans has been one of the main sticking points for the Riyadh season matchmaker. Alalshikh has been cheered for his desire to lower fan prices, which is not good news for Haymon. The PBC boss has not reacted to Alalshikh's proposal to sell all major boxing events for around $25. However, this wasn't the case for Terence Crawford's recent event in LA last August. Alalshikh sold that fight, like Haymon, for $80. But since then, the price has dropped. Alalshikh moved towards his promise in October by asking for $25.99 for the Beterbiev vs. Bivol event, but raised the price to $40 for Usyk vs. Fury 2 this year. Alalshikh made the future of pay-per-view more explicit by stating that no other event would cost more than $25.99 in the United States, which undercut Haymon by $54 per show. This scenario would prove unworkable for Haymon in the future. Fans would wonder why they should pay for the PBC's higher pay-per-views when Alalshikh arguably offers better events for far less. Haymon will have to bring prices down or face the wrath of the fans. Currently, 2 Amazon Prime Video pay-per-views will cost fans $155 and change to watch in 1 month. David Benavidez versus David Morrell on February 1st comes in at $79.99, while Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Roach on March 1st will set customers back $75.95. This model would be unsustainable for Haymon if Alalshikh sticks to his proposal. When landing a reported 10% stake in DAZN, Haymon faces ruin and will have to relent on his pricing scheme to align with the sport's direction, under the guidance of the Saudi Arabian moneymen. What a lot of people don't understand, a lot of people outside looking in, is that Turki Alalshikh and what he's spending on boxing is a drop in the bucket compared to what they're spending on other sports, because it's all part of a bigger picture, bigger than just boxing.
To turn Saudi Arabia into the entertainment capital of the world to thereby promote tourism and another arm of revenue for the region. That's what it's all about.
But when you compare what they're spending on boxing to what they're spending on other sports, what they're spending on boxing is but a drop in the bucket. It's not even very much. So Turkey can afford to undercut Al Haymon.
Because they're playing a different game.
Haymon and his PBC is still using that mom and pop shop model of trying to make a quick buck, whereas Turkey
is playing a different game, a much bigger one than what you're doing.
Some wonder, how long can all of this last? That if he's not actually in it to turn over a profit from the sport of boxing, this can't go on forever. The thing is, nothing does.
You think you're saying something by that?
Nothing lasts forever, but this only has to last long enough that they can drive Haymon out!
And it doesn't have to last forever for them to do that.
Saw a Twitter user that goes by the name DN say, "Ain't it crazy how boxing went to the shits when Errol lost? He's clearly the GOAT."
No, you're clearly delayed.
I said that because people still want to see Errol fight more than Bud. People don't even want to see Bud be great and fight Canelo, but I bet people would have loved to see Errol beat up on Canelo.
Beat up on Canelo? He couldn't even beat up on Bud. How was he gonna beat up on Canelo?
Are you stupid?
Most American boxing fans are. I say it all the time. This woman is a prime example. Did you see Errol Spence Jr.'s numbers before he fought Terrence Crawford? Leading up to it. The numbers for the Garcia fight. The numbers for the Ugas fight.
Was it a little over 200,000 for Danny? Little over 200,000 for Ugas?
He wasn't doing big numbers. In fact, the biggest numbers that he's ever done are from the Terrence Crawford fight. That's the most pay-per-views.
The most pay-per-views in Errol Spence Jr. fight sold. The one where he got beaten half to death.
Is this woman living under a rock? She doesn't know that?
And over a year later, after that beating, you still think Errol is the center of attention. How many pay-per-views do you think Errol's fight is gonna sell after he got beat up like that? I'd wager that the Sebastian Fundora fight, if it happens, will bring in less. Far less than what he brought in with Terrence.
You should be wondering is why it's taking him so long to get back to the ring, that if he really had more to give to the sport of boxing, why did he sit out all of last year?
What's taking him so long? And when exactly is his fight with Sebastian supposed to happen? Because the more time that passes, the more difficult it becomes for him to come back.
I don't even consider this a comeback. I consider it a cash out. One last money grab before he hangs him up.
So this DN broad thinks that boxing has gone to shit ever since Errol Spence Jr. lost. Since then, we've seen an undisputed champion crowned at heavyweight, the first in over 2 decades, another one crowned at light heavyweight. We've seen big fight after big fight, and there's more incoming this year.
And you think that boxing has gone to shit?
She's what I like to call a crab in a bucket. The kind of person that would pull everybody else down.
Everything.
Turkey's aggressive investment and ambitious matchmaking is pulling boxing out of the rut that it was in. But there are still those out there who resist because they would prefer that it be Al Haymon at the helm of everything, in control. He had his chance.
All he did was drive the major networks away. NBC, Fox, more recently Showtime.
Crabs in a bucket. That's what people like her are. Crabs in a bucket. Reacting to all the news as of late, Turkey's plans for the sport and what big fights we can expect, Gervonta Davis once again reacted via his social media saying, "I F with who I F with, and I'm stuck with him because I don't suck."
Yes, you do. All the purses, all the handbags, all the zesty behavior.
Hugged up on Adrian Broner in a club blowing kisses at each other. Who are you trying to fool? He is seemingly pouting once again, making it public that he doesn't want to do any business with Turki Alalshikh, though I don't know why.
It's not a sides of the street thing, because there are guys from your side of the street fighting on Riyadh season shows. Rayo did, Isaac did, and he's going to again. So is Carlos Adames.
It's not about sides of the street, and it's not about loyalty. It's that he doesn't want to be matched tough. That's all it boils down to. It's not about asserting your independence or any of the crap,
Any of those excuses, it's that he doesn't want to be matched tough.
So he's going to stay loyal to Al Haymon for whatever that's worth in what is the final year of his boxing career, because he's the one who said that he's not going to be boxing anymore after this year. So stay loyal to Al while you can. See who gives a damn. You're about to try to sell people an $80 Lamont Roach fight, and with all the fighters already tied to Turkey's vision of the sport and all his plans, I don't even know who you're going to fight after the Lamont Roach fight, if you even are gonna fight.
I half expected him to do a rematch with Isaac Cruz if Isaac beats Angel Fierro.
But Isaac is one of the fighters mentioned to be boxing on these upcoming Ring Magazine cards, the ones that Turkey is putting on. So I guess that rules Isaac out.
Not that anybody was asking for a rematch anyway.
Gervonta Davis seems to have been in the market for a rematch with Ryan Garcia, what was his best bet to bring in another big bag, but Ryan is all tied up with this Devin Haney situation and what could be a trilogy. He's all booked up for what remains of this year. He's going to be fighting someone in May, we don't know who, then presumably Devin in the fall, and perhaps Devin again in early next year.
So Gervonta doesn't have him to turn to. Not that anybody was asking for them to have a rematch anyway. You knocked him out. What's the point in fighting him again?
So that it'll sell a bunch of pay-per-views, and if it does, Gervonta and his fans can pretend he sold that all by himself, because the numbers he's bringing in by himself pale in comparison. Told you he's only good for about 200,000 buys, if that. It's hard to imagine he's gonna move that many units with a Lamont Roach fight at $80? Yeah. He wants to pout, so let him. You're running out of people to fight. You're running a scarcity of options. With so much of the boxing world tied to Turki Alalshikh's events, I don't know who you are gonna fight.
Who does that leave him with?
He only fought once last year. Is it possible that he'll only fight once this one? If he does, I ain't losing no sleep over it. I actually think it's good news that this might be his last year in the sport of boxing, so he can go away and take his fans with him.
The ones who steal his fights?
Whatever. Still angry that he was not invited to the Ring Magazine soiree in London this past weekend.
But you're on probation.
Even more bizarre is that Gervonta Davis is not allowed to travel as a result of his sentence and the probation he's under. He recently asked the judge if he could travel to Japan to take in their culture, and that request was denied. So what the hell makes you think you could have went to London?
Worrying about a party you weren't invited to where even if you were invited, you wouldn't have been able to go anyway, you moron.
Female energy, that's what that is. It's the thought.
He at least wanted to be invited.
Zesty Gervonta should go have some retail therapy. Buy another handbag, get another purse.
Some new acrylics.
Get your nails done, get your toes done. You're a bad bitch. He won't admit it, but he feels left out. He sees the direction that the boxing world is moving, and it's moving on without him. He can't pretend to be the center of attention anymore. Pretend to be the money man. Not that he ever was, because he wasn't.
But you can't even pretend now. You're giving the boxing community at large less and less reason to pay attention to you.
Since there's so much going on that doesn't involve you, and we're all better off for it.